Mark Douglas wrote something that sounds impossible until you understand it. You don't need to know what happens next to make money. And once you truly accept this, your entire relationship with trading transforms because you stop carrying the weight of needing to predict and start simply executing your edge. The reason this sounds impossible is because traders assume profitable trading requires correct prediction, that you need to figure out where price is going before it goes there. And that being wrong about direction means being wrong about trading. But none of this is true, and believing it creates most of the psychological suffering traders experience. Your edge doesn't require you to know what happens on any individual trade, because your edge works over a series of trades, not on any single one. Meaning you can be completely wrong about the next 5 trades and still be a profitable trader, because positive expectancy produces profit over sufficient sample regardless of which specific trades win or lose. This is the fundamental shift. From needing to predict each trade correctly to accepting that each trade outcome is genuinely uncertain, while the aggregate outcome over many trades is statistically predictable. And these two realities coexist without contradiction once you understand how probability actually works. Think about what you're actually doing when you enter a trade. You're not saying, "I know this will work," because you can't know that. You're saying, "This setup has produced positive results over hundreds of similar situations, and I'm executing one instance of that pattern. And whether this particular instance wins or loses doesn't change the validity of the pattern." The professional trader and the amateur trader often take the same trades, but they carry completely different psychological weight, because the amateur needs this trade to work to feel okay about the trade, while the professional has already accepted that this trade might lose, and that losing doesn't invalidate the decision to take it. When you need to know what happens next, you experience anxiety before entries because you're uncertain. You experience tension during trades because you're waiting to find out if you were right. And you experience either relief or devastation after trades, depending on outcome, creating emotional volatility that has nothing to do with the quality of your trading process. When you release the need to know, you experience calm before entries, because uncertainty is accepted, not resisted. You experience detachment during trades because you're not waiting for validation. And you experience equanimity after trades because outcomes are data points, not judgments, allowing you to execute with consistency that needing to know makes impossible. The liberation is real. You don't have to figure out what the market will do tomorrow. You don't have to predict whether this breakout will hold or fail. You don't have to know if this support level will bounce or break, because your profitability doesn't depend on any of these predictions being correct, only on executing a positive expectancy process across enough trades for the math to work. Professional traders aren't better at predicting than amateurs. They've simply stopped trying to predict and started focusing entirely on execution. And this shift from prediction to execution is what separates consistent profitability from the endless cycle of analysis, hope, disappointment, and more analysis that characterizes struggling traders. Common resistance. If I don't know what will happen, why would I take the trade? You take the trade because your edge is positive over sample, not because you know this trade will win. And edge-based motivation persists regardless of outcome, while prediction-based motivation collapses every time you're wrong. Your implementation before your next trade. Say out loud, "I don't know if this trade will win, and I don't need to know. My edge works over many trades, not this one." And notice how this simple acknowledgement changes your emotional relationship to entering the position. Because accepting uncertainty isn't resignation. It's the foundation of professional trading psychology. You don't need to know what happens next to make money because your edge doesn't care what happens next on any individual trade. Your edge only cares what happens across hundreds of trades. And once you stop needing to know, you stop suffering from not knowing, which is the real transformation Douglas was pointing toward.